Okay, so let's get started with our new project, which is RTS resource collection system. So as usual, first you should create a fresh project using Unreal Engine 5. So currently, as you can see, I have several versions of Unreal Engine 5 starting from 5.3 to up until 5.8, which is currently the latest version. So for this project, I'm gonna use this one, which is Unreal Engine 5.4 base version. Because first thing is that 5.4 is little bit matured plus stable Unreal Engine version rather than these newer versions. Newer versions are fine, but usually the standard is like go with whatever the latest stable version of Unreal Engine. So 5.4 is much more stable and widely used. So therefore, we are going to start the project using Unreal Engine 5.4. But if you want, you can start with 5.7, 5.8 or whatever the latest Unreal Engine version. Okay, but don't go below this version. For example, like don't create a project using Unreal Engine 5.3 because later I'm gonna show you the starter content pack that we are going to use in this project. So that project or the content pack is having the base version of Unreal Engine 5.4, which means it will not compatible with whatever the lower engine versions. Okay, so make sure you are using at least Unreal Engine 5.4 for your fresh project, or else go for whatever the latest version. Right, so first let's create a project using Unreal Engine 5.4 and I'm going to launch this one. So let's wait until the new project opens. Right, let's wait some time. Okay. Now this is the project browser and I'm gonna create a game which is a blank project and I'm gonna call this one as RTS resource call system. Okay, so the reason what I using this abbreviated name because I can't go beyond a certain level of character limits. For example, like if I named it as the full project name like RTS resource collection, you can see that the project name exceeded the maximum character amount, which is 20. So that's why I'm going to go with this abbreviated version for the project name, but you can go with whatever the name that you want to have for your project, but I think this name would be fine. And as the location, I'm going to use this directory, which is a directory that I created for this project. You can use whatever the directory that you comfortable with. Okay, right, so make sure it is a blank project and do not include any starter content or any sort of like ray trace or any other configurations, and make sure it is a blueprint project. Okay, right, so I'm going to create this one and it will take some time to create. Okay, right, so now you can see the new project has been launched and it is currently empty and nothing is there. And make sure the project version is at least 5.4. Right, then what we need to do is we need to migrate our starter content project to this project. Okay, so you can download the starter content from here, from this GitHub repository. So simply go to this GitHub repository and download it as a zip and the project will be there. And also within the course as well, I will attach this downloadable zip so that you can even download it from there as well. Okay, right, so once you downloaded it, the project will look like this. Let me open up it here. Right, So this is the start content pack, which includes all the required measures and whatever the other assets that we want to get started with this project. Okay, so you can see that it has some crop out start content project stuffs here. So actually, crop out start content is free to use project published by Epic Games, so we can use these assets for learning purposes, which is totally fine. And also we have Lyra start content materials. So you can see like we have some sort of a grid material over here. We can use this to project the landscape properties properly to set up our game, or maybe like to prototype our game at the development time. Okay, this is just a material. And other than that, I have included a set of textures that we can use to create our user interface system later on. Okay, so nothing much there, just a start content pack. And now what you have to do is you have to migrate this start content to your own project. Right, so to migrate it, simply go to the content directory and make sure you are at this root directory, and right click on it and select migrate. And then make sure everything under RTS resource collection essentials are selected, and simply click OK. Then you have to direct it to your own project. So in my case, it is under this directory, and it is RTS resource collection system. And go to your project directory like this, and make sure go to the content directory, and after that simply click the select folder. Okay, so make sure you are at this content directory, not outside or any other internal directories. Make sure it is content directory of your own project. Then simply click select folder and the migration will start. Okay, so the asset has been migrated now, which means now you can safely close this start content project, because now you don't need it anymore, because all of those files are here. Right, now if you go to the RTS resource collection system project, here you can see that content pack is here. So you can go and check out the assets, like all the stuffs are there, measures are there, and Lyra starter materials and all the stuffs are there, including all the textures and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the initial setup. And yeah, maybe we can create a directory for the RTS resource collection system itself. So I'm going to create a new one called RTS resource call system, and this directory will be used as the root directory for our own content. Right, and here to get started, first I will create a maps directory, and just to implement a showcase level, I'll create another directory called showcase, and there let's create a new level, which is a basic level, and I'm gonna save that level into that directory. So these are very basic usual stuffs that you may familiar with, and there we go. So I'm gonna call this one as map underscore showcase. Right, so you can see now the map is there, and currently it is having this sample level, and you can see we have this grid sort of landscape here. And maybe instead of using this grid, the default grid material, we can override it with our sample content pack material, which should be much more convenient later on. So I'm going to go to my RTS resource collection system essentials start content pack and open up this material. And here you can see this is a material instance based on the Lyra start content materials. So we can directly use this one as the default landscape material on our showcase level. So I'm going to select this material and simply drag and drop over here. But first make sure you have been selected the landscape flow and then you can simply drag it to here. So then you can see we will have this nice looking blue color landscape, which will be much more convenient for us later on when we are performing some operations later on. Okay, right, save all, and then finally I will go for the project settings, and under maps and mods, here as the default startup map I will assign this showcase map. So make sure to go to this directory and select that level and go to project settings again and assign it over here. Okay, right, so there we go, and we have this sample level and the starter content is there. Okay, so as project setup, now I think we have a solid foundation, and from the next tutorial onwards, let's see how we can implement the actual resource collection system related functions.